Hello out there. Welcome. I'm Wendy Taylor, registered dietitian, nutritionist, and food relationship expert. I know that this last week has been especially overwhelming for all of us, getting hit with all the news and media out there with things changing on a daily, if not hourly basis. I want to hear how you guys are doing with this pandemic, this coronavirus. And I would love your comments and or questions below. Today, we're going to talk about the anxiety that you might be facing in the midst of all this. The food resources, the hoarding, and really the realities that it brings. And we're also going to find the silver lining in this together. And we're going to talk about what is reasonable panic and what is just really unnecessary. Plus, we're going to talk about how diet culture is playing a role in this anxiety and panic that we're feeling, and we're going to just discuss and come up with some simple ways that you can take care of yourself right now when everything feels so up in the air. Now, obviously, I'm not coming in here because I am the COVID-19 expert, but I do feel like it's leaving us with some feelings, and those feelings around food and body need to be addressed right now. I'm seeing a lot of women right now being really anxious about their food choices and exercise. I wanted to talk about some ways that food and or exercise might be affecting you right now. First of all, I want you to know that it's very normal to feel anxious when we feel threatened by a famine or a food shortage. It is our body's own adaptive response to a lack of. So if you've followed me for a while, then you've heard me talk about the restriction binge cycle. What this means is that anytime you feel that food is not going to be there for you or won't be available for you, then it can be a little triggering. Also, I want you to be very kind to yourself right now because it's normal. It is normal that people are feeling panic right now. It's normal that people are feeling nervous and desperate around food right now. So if you feel any of that, or if you feel like you're having flare-ups of more compulsive eating, or if you're experiencing thoughts that you thought you'd move past from in terms of healing your relationship with food, this can be a big stress. I get it. This really is something that can happen when we have a real food shortage. So let's talk about that. It's been documented through research that during times of famine or food shortage, people take on a preoccupation with food that also mirrors diet behavior. How often have you been on a diet and you feel socially distanced? Maybe because you didn't want to deal with the food, or maybe it was just easier to stay home and not go to the party. Or maybe it's just easier to not go out at all the whole 30 days you're on your diet. Your whole 30. I want to talk here for a few minutes about something called deprivation setup and these different types of eating that can be really triggering during times like these. It helps us to understand why you might be experiencing these psychological triggers around food, especially right now. These come straight from the book Intuitive Eating by Evelyn Tribole and Elise Rush. The first type of eating that I want to talk about right now is the Last Supper eating. What I mean by this is that the mere perception of food becoming banned can trigger a sense of panic and can send you on a trail of eating. You could be experiencing this right now, and it mimics a lot what we see with dieting. This Last Supper eating, it's brought on by a sincere belief that you will never get to eat that particular food and or foods again. And the threat of deprivation can become so overwhelming or so powerful that you find yourself basically eating what's forbidden, even if you're not hungry. So I'm seeing this sense of panic with people right now, this hurry, come and get it while you can, like while the time is short, almost FOMO around food, and it can be very triggering. If you find yourself overeating, you might have some thoughts of dieting because you might be telling yourself you're out of control. The diet thoughts or the fear of deprivation that you are feeling right now could be because you think you won't get enough. So it starts this cycle. Overeat again, feel out of control, and finally you just lose your self-esteem. All right, next I want to talk about food competition, which is a subtle form of Last Supper eating. Have you ever been to the movies with a date and shared a popcorn with someone that eats faster than you? Notice how quickly you might have to dig in because you're afraid that maybe they'll finish faster than you. Now I'm seeing a lot of this type of fear and behavior right now, you guys, because people are concerned that they won't get enough. So what happens when you go into the store and the toilet paper's dwindling? This is the behavior that we're seeing. You're gonna see people buying up every last bit of toilet paper. Same with foods. If you were a child and you grew up in a house full of men, maybe you know what it feels like to not get enough at meal times. This fear of deprivation might have taught you to really just grab what you can while you can get it, or you're going to miss out. This FOMO around food, okay? Fear of missing out. Next, let's talk about empty cupboard eating. Empty cupboard eating. Okay, that is empty pantry. Maybe you grew up with a house that really consistently did not have enough food in the pantry. Maybe grocery shopping was chaotic for your parents. Maybe eating was either feast or famine for you. If this is the case, then being around food right now can be extra special for you. Think about how this might have affected you today if you grew up in a household like this. Do you have a tendency to eat every last bite of food on your plate? Are you feeling a sense of urgency right now to hoard food because you worry that you might be deprived of it later? Which brings me to number 4, which is captivity behavior. It's been reported that various accounts of released hostages have reported obsessive thinking about food or cravings while they're in captivity. We also see this from the Depression era. People that went through depression, they hold food in high regard. There's this pervasive sense that food won't be there for them in the future, that certain foods will not be available. Like precious metal, you guys. They won't throw any food away, let alone waste it. People that experience this now in the situation that we're going through could be extremely triggered. So we've talked about triggers and thoughts of food and deprivation and hoarding and how this might cause overeating. But on the flip side, I want to address another situation that you might be having. What if you've stockpiled a lot of foods in your pantry and you've not been eating them? I don't think this necessarily means that you have disordered eating, but again, it might just be the real fear that if you eat any of the non-perishable foods right now, you might not have any for later. And if this is you, then I encourage you to do what you can to get some non-perishable food right now, just as a buffer to let yourself know that you'll be okay. But in the meantime, keep buying the foods for yourself right now that you regularly eat. So you can eat fresh foods now and replenish that when you can, and just have the non-perishable, dense food items so that you have that peace of mind. This is exactly how people feel in any of the situations that we talked about a few minutes ago, you can feel desperate, and it can absolutely bring about emotional eating, binge eating, stress eating. That may be your response to this restriction or impending deprivation that you're feeling. And I just want you guys to know that these things that you're dealing with are normal. They are a normal biological response due to the lack of food in the future. Scarcity mentality obviously does not just affect our relationship to food. Look at toilet paper. You're seeing these biological responses to toilet paper as well. People are hoarding, buying at mass, terrified they're going to get stuck inside and not have it, and it is essential. This is just the mental part, you guys. Let's take a minute to talk about control and obsessive thoughts around food and exercise. I also see a lot of women struggle with orthorexia, and with this comes an obsessive planning of what to eat or how they will exercise on any given week or day. If you're used to being really strict with your meal planning, then this can be a really good time to think about the benefits of nutrient-dense foods and really how diet foods just don't last that long. Lettuce, vegetables, low-calorie foods, they're not going to get you through a food shortage. Let's talk about variety. If you have a fridge that's only stocked with lettuce, peppers, maybe some hummus, carrots, some yogurt, if that's the most nutrient-dense thing that you have on hand, or if your pantry is stocked with Skinny Pop and maybe some seaweed snacks, and that's it, that's not going to get you very far. It's not a good game plan. Ideally, we want to diet with a wide variety of foods, including fresh fruits and vegetables, if we can. So let's focus on eating fresh foods now and have the security of knowing that you have a stockpile of non-perishable foods to help you relax right now in your pantry. So if you're struggling with thoughts of overeating or restriction, I just want you to show yourself a lot of compassion and ask yourself, why is this showing up for you in this way right now? I want you to recognize that you're allowed to trust that food will be available to you. And there is literally no indication, you guys, that food is scarce. It's just the threat of it happening that is freaking out a lot of people, and it's bringing with it a lot of triggers for a lot of women that I work with. Many of us, myself included, we are not able to exercise right now, or exercise in a way that we're used to. And that can make life really tough. Again, I just want you guys to practice so much compassion right now. When things tend to feel really out of control, food and exercise can be primary ways for us to cope. So if you start beating yourself up, hearing that inner critic, that inner mean girl in you, talking to you, telling you things that you don't want to hear, remember to become cognitively aware and to tell yourself, oh yeah, that's me doing that thing again, telling myself I'm in control because this coronavirus thing feels so out of control. When things feel out of control, a tendency is to grip control around food and exercise and to start picking apart your body. Recognize that this is happening. I want you guys to stop. Recognize the panic. Bring awareness to the actions is what is going to help you to be able to stop the actions and being very kind to yourself right now. This is the most important part of the process. This is so powerful, you guys. Practice so much compassion. Don't beat yourself up for panicking. Don't panic about the panic. It's okay to feel stressed. We've never been through this before. We don't know what is going to happen. Honestly, you guys, this is what I love about intuitive eating and that finding food freedom that I'm always talking about. If you aren't dieting and you're just living your life, you can have that flexibility. Even in the midst of a crisis like what's going on right now, even in the midst of a pandemic. Look, we can't go to gyms right now, so exercise habits have to change. Michael and I, we do other YouTube videos. What are some of your favorites? Leave a comment below and let me know. We do them at night before we go to bed. There are several businesses here locally where I live streaming live workouts now, and several apps that I love. I'd love to hear what apps you use in the comments below. Let me know. Put them down there so I can try them out. Moving your body is an intuitive decision to make, but right now it's going to need to be modified. So it might be that you need to move a little more flexible right now. Be a little more flexible with your movement. And maybe you're used to planning specific exercises that you need to do every week. And the same goes with right now if you're used to meal planning really specifically and kind of strict during the week. I don't want you to stress out about your health, your wellness, or your nutrition right now. The beauty of finding food freedom, of intuitive eating, is that flexibility that you get, that freedom. Don't be threatened by a famine because we in no way have signs of a food shortage happening. Just know that changing some things about the way that we eat and really move our body is going to be a normal part of life right now, and that's okay. And the final topic that I want to bring up that is so important is how diet culture is playing a role in this panic. I'm hearing a lot of talk about how obesity is a risk factor. I just want to say that there are no results out there for any correlation between obesity and COVID-19. There are results and a correlation with cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Now, these two seem to be risk factors, but I also think that people are making an unsubstantiated association with these two disease states and body size. And this is because many healthcare practitioners out there are not educated in health at any size, and they're fat phobic and they're victims of our current diet culture. And I think it's important to be aware that this is something that's going to happen. There are going to be messages out there that if you just eat the right diet, or if you just eat a certain way, that you're going to have this perfect immune system and that there's just no way. Repeat. There is no way that you can diet away the pandemic. In fact, under eating and forcing your weight to be lower than what your body naturally wants to be is actually worse for your immune system, and it may make you more susceptible to the virus. So keep this in mind when you see really diet culture-y things around and on social media about this, and anything that you find that is stirring up like a fear about your weight or you having to eat the perfect diet. Wellness culture and diet culture would have us to think that if we just eat a certain way or if we buy a certain food that we're going to be so much safer than everyone else. I get it. We all want to be safe. I'm seeing a lot of unnecessary panic right now. We're all looking for something to really make us feel better about all of this. Wellness and diet culture are just really manipulating the situation right now. While it's totally great to want to take care of ourselves and to stay healthy, I don't want you to be stressed right now over immune boosting foods or protocols or anything like that. I've been getting emails and I've been seeing so much craziness about this lately, about the way to eat for Corona, and none of that is legit. All you need to do is wash your hands, distance yourself socially, and sanitize. So please be aware that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there right now. So if you're seeing someone tell you that celery juice is going to cleanse your coronavirus, that is not true. And the things that I want you to do is to recognize that inner mean girl, that inner dialogue, that inner bitch, when she arises, and just go with the flow. So by all means, eat your meals. Do not skip meals. I want you to nourish yourself the best that you can based on what is available to you. Move your body inside your home, or get out in your backyard, or get onto your porch. Yes, we all are going to need to practice compassion right now and give ourselves flexibility. I know there's a lot of unknown and it feels very limiting. It does feel scary because you don't feel like you have control anymore, and you don't know what the future is going to look like. So I just want to acknowledge to everyone that's listening, to everyone that's listening to this video, that panic, it's okay to panic. It's okay to be anxious when we don't know what's going to happen. So I hope you're feeling a little bit better about how to deal with some of the triggers you might be facing around food and your body right now. We have covered so much ground on this video today, and I'm hoping that you can see the themes. Some things that I really want to make sure that I leave you with are, first, it's okay to press pause and get really grounded and clear on what you need right now. We are all processing what's happening right now, and we all need to figure out how we move through this and how to really get out of the fight or flight response in order to be thinking clearly about how we truly need to show up for ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up with my final advice, but I also wanted to stop for a minute and to give you some space to leave me any comments, questions that you have below. And after we wrap up today, I'm going to take my body out for a walk. I'm going to do a little dance party in my house, and just things that are going to calm down my nervous system, because this is really what we need to do to give ourselves some space to prepare for what's next. And I'm going to repeat what I said earlier in case you missed it. I want you to stop. I want you to recognize the panic, bring awareness to the actions. This is what is going to help you be able to stop the actions. Be very kind to yourself. I see a lot of people that are triggered, and this fight or flight mechanism due to stress is due to the perception of lack of resources right now. So I really want you to think about what is the easiest, very next step that you can take today to be more kind to yourself. When things feel really out of control, a tendency is to grip control around food, exercise, and start picking apart your body. Recognize that this is happening. Practice so much self-compassion. And finally, don't hide. If you would like to find out more ways about how to work with me, head to my website, pantrydr.com, and I'd love to schedule a free 20-minute session. I'm here for you guys. We're in this together. Love you, and see you next time.